All right.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah,
Hello.
you're all good. Okay,
Alright,
welcome.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
had my headphones on.
Okay. Welcome everyone to our sixth up and away lesson. Here we have our beloved Cessna 172 in front of us, and today is going to be a little bit of a different lesson. What we want to do is, based on all the feedback we've been getting about our program, we'd like to sort of do a recap of the things we've covered and just cover the main ideas, what you need to do, what you need to know to do a basic flight. And hopefully, with that, things will start making sense because, yeah, we know there's definitely a lot going on in flying an airplane, but here we are in the Cessna 172 over here at Honolulu Airport in Hawaii, which I think you can travel to if you get a COVID test. But uh, anyway, I'd like Calvin to show how to set up your X-Plane mobile so you can start up over here at Honolulu. So Calvin, just start
Alright.
on the start screen.
Alright, so when you launch, you're gonna find this after going to the painstaking amount of loading screens. So click on free flight. And what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to go to this mountain here. That means location, if you didn't know. And if you go to the search bar up top, if you type in PHNL or just Honolulu, you can go to Honolulu International here. You're gonna want to set this to free. If you look at the left, there's a slider. You're gonna want to set to free, and then you're gonna want to click on Honolulu Airport, and you're gonna want to click Start New Route. It's gonna look a little bit different from this, but click Start New Route, and it should just set you on, I think, runway 08 left is default. But what you're gonna want to do is go to. Do I remember how to do this? Oh, edit start type. If you click on edit start type down here, once you've started a new route, you can go here. We want to go to the ramp setting, and then once you do that, you want to click on the drop down menu, and you can search for GA, which I'm assuming stands for General Aviation, and start at GA2. And if you look at the map over here, you can see that it starts you right around here. Okay, that's done. And what you want to do, we want to start with our engines off. So we're going to go here, go to settings, and then we're going to uncheck this box right here. And then you just click start. And then after a bunch of loading again,
Yeah. All
Jeopardy
right.
music starts playing.
All right. Thank you for that. And where that should take you is exactly where we're sitting right now, over here. We like to call it the funnel because the airport code, as you saw Calvin type, is PHNL. But anyway, once that loads, we'll go ahead and get started. If you want a spoiler alert, this is what your cockpit will look like basically. Everything is off, and this thing is tilted out of nowhere. Um, yeah, and I think you can see that right now. Wait, what happened? Oh yeah, in case you need to in case you need to center your controls on your X-Plane mobile, you could do what Calvin just did and recalibrate your controls so that it doesn't tilt randomly. All right, so now we're in the cold and dark stage because it's dark in here. None of the instruments are on. So let's go ahead and start up the plane. Basically, all you want to do, the red switches on the bottom left here, you can turn these both on. And just make sure that all these lights down here, all these switches, are all off. So just make sure that that's set like that. And once the red switches are on, which are the master switches, then we'll go over to the lights. There's two main lights we just need to worry about right now. The one that says BCN, turn that on, which is the same thing as switching it up. And this light over here that says nav, which is short for navigation light, turn that on.
So the BCN stands for beacon lights, just to clear that up.
Yeah. Normally, if you look on the left here where the door is and you press this handle, the door opens. And then normally what you do is a walk around just to make sure that the airplane surfaces are good. We're not going to do that right now because in flight simulators, everything always works. So, but yeah, this is normally what you do in what's called a walk around. You just check that the plane is working properly. Um, Back in the cockpit, and we'll keep the doors open for now. What we want to do is, in order to start the engine, what does the engine need? It needs fuel. And you'll notice we have a nice little switch down here, and it's called the fuel pump. We need to pump some fuel in the engine. What we're about to do next, just before starting up the engine, is what's called priming the engine. And I'll have Yuvraj go ahead and explain what that really means.
So basically, the way an engine works, and this is very similar to a car engine, is you have fuel inside the engine, and then in a car there are spark plugs, and in a plane the equivalent would sort of be magnetos, they call them, and they ignite the fuel with a spark inside the engine, and it causes an explosion and moves the pistons, and your propeller spins. So to start the engine at the first time, it won't start if you don't have any fuel in it. And what priming does, it puts just a little bit of fuel so that you can get the propeller spinning, get the piston spinning, and then as they start spinning, you can slowly add more fuel and start the engine. So that's what priming's all about. So just dumping a little bit of fuel, just a little bit in the engine so that you can start it up. Because
Yeah.
if you don't have the fuel in there, the magnetos are just going to spark and nothing's going to ignite.
So what we want to do is, you see the black lever over here, that's the throttle. Remember, this is what controls basically your power. Yeah, and just move it slightly forward. And then what you want to do is pay attention to both.
About a quarter ways forward was the.
Yeah, but it's hard to tell with X-Plane Mobile what it is. So just for now, let's say move it
That
a
is
little
true.
bit
So
forward.
just a little bit.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a tiny bit. And now all you have to do is pay attention to this red lever that you see here, and one more gauge. It's on the left over here, you'll see the fuel flow gauge. It says fuel flow. And what you want to do is move this red lever all the way forward, and then check your fuel flow to see that it has, increased a little bit. Now, I know it'll be hard to tell in X-Plane Mobile because it's hard to just switch the displays around. So let me just show you what that would look like. So right now I just pulled out the red lever, which is the mixture to throw fuel in the engine. And then if I move it forward, you can see that the fuel flow indicator just rose a little bit. So we have just primed the engine. There's now fuel in the engine, and we're ready to start it. So we can go ahead and pull the red lever back out.
Just gonna point out real quick. In real life, you would only push the mixture lever in and pull it out once, unlike the 2 or 3 times that we did. That was only for demonstration purposes. Don't do that in a real airplane. You might flood the engine.
Yeah,
One more
be
thing,
careful
you
of that.
would you would leave the mixture in for only approximately 3 seconds. You pull it back out after,
Yeah.
and then you turn off your fuel pump. You can go ahead and turn off your fuel pump now.
Wait,
Yeah.
Nikhil, yeah.
So
So you
yeah,
don't need the
what
fuel
you-
pump anymore because there's already fuel in the engine, and then
Yeah, we're ready to
later
start it,
on
basically.
there's one that's connected to the engine.
So now all we have to do is, you'll see these white switches over here. These are the avionics. Just go ahead and turn those on. And then we're ready to start the engine. So all we got to do, since our friendly door's open, we can now yell outside, "Clear prop!" And now we're ready to start the engine. How do we do that? There's a key. You can see the key. Just like how you start the car with a key, you can start the airplane with a key as well.
So the key is for the magnetos, as I mentioned before. Those are kind of the spark plug equivalents of an airplane. If you're into cars, you'd know.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do now is just simply set it to pull for your throttle. You want to pull it out just a little bit. So don't set it to idle, which is 0, but set it still a little bit forward. And you can do that in X-Plane Mobile. You could probably see, let's check the way Calvin's doing it. Let's take a look. So look at what Calvin's doing. He set his throttle a little bit forward. That's all you need to do. And now you're ready to go over to the magnetos here. You see where the key is? To keep turning it to the right, and then click start. And then once you hear the gas sort of revving up, you want to move this red lever all the way forward. Although you have to do it really fast so that, the fuel actually starts mixing.
Do you think we could kind of go over the whole process again? They kind of missed seeing the airplane prop turn and then you pushing the mixture because it was zoomed in. This is just for demonstration.
So I'm just gonna.
I feel like that would be.
I'm gonna turn it. I'm gonna turn off the engine, so I just turn off the magnetos. I'm just gonna pull the red lever out. I have to prime the engine again, so let me just quickly do that. And I think 2, 3. All right, the engine is primed, so we're ready to start the engine. Now, pay attention. What I just need you to pay attention to is the red lever and my key on the bottom left here. I'm going to
also look at how the prop turns.
Yeah, you also want to look at the prop. So what'll happen is once I set the key to start, the propeller will start, rotating and sputtering, and then suddenly it'll get really fast. That's when you know to push the red lever in. So let's see it. And then push the red lever in. And now our engine started. Yeah.
If you're wondering what happens if you start the engine without pushing the red lever in, what happens is it doesn't start. It spins a few times and stops because what the key does is it fires the magnetos with the batteries, and so the batteries get the magnetos to spin the propeller because we primed the engine, and so until we put the mixture in, it's not going to start because it'll just eat up the fuel that we used during priming and then stop because there's no fuel going in.
Okay, so we're ready to go to the runway now. So all we got to do is you'll see the lights over here. Now when we go to the runway, it's called taxiing to the runway, and I guess logically you'd want your taxi lights on to do that. So let's just go ahead and do that. And you'll also see down here we have the lever. These are the parking brakes, or just the brakes. Release those and you're ready to start moving. And then you need to adjust your throttle accordingly if you want to gain speed or lose speed. What we want to do is head to the runway, which is somewhere. You'll see this taxiway over here marked by the yellow lines. Just follow this taxi line over here, and just like in a road, this is our road to the runway. Just follow the yellow line, and then...
Well, technically on a road, you wouldn't be driving on top of the divider.
Yeah, that's
line.
the only difference. That's the only difference.
So don't pretend it's a lane when you're taxiing.
Yeah,
stay on top of the
literally
line.
follow the line. You can see like the wheel.
Exactly.
Keep your wheel on the line. Oh wow, I'm already getting off the line. And we need to get ready for this turn here. So we're gonna turn right over here. And you should be able to do this in your X-Plane Mobile too, because the airport layout's basically the same.
Also, to turn during taxi, you need to use rudder. That's the control they need to use when taxiing, because tilting the screen in X-Plane Mobile won't help you taxi.
I think it will.
Because that controls the ailerons, so
it does
you should
both,
be able to taxi with
on the
rudder.
ground.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Can we have Calvin confirm?
It does a very little. Very
Yeah.
Very little. Okay.
So
you do
you can
need to
see the
mostly use
horizontal.
rudder, huh?
Yeah, use the horizontal slider to turn.
Yeah, right.
And now what you'll see is we've reached a black surface with a lot of lines on it. If you see a black surface with a lot of white lines on it, that's probably the runway. And this is where all airplanes take off and land. And I'm pointing this out because we've never actually done a takeoff yet in any of these lessons, or a full-fledged takeoff anyway. So now that we're on the runway, just like with the taxiway, you want to line up with the middle of it. You see all the white lines down the middle, you want to line up with the middle of it. Set your parking brake, which is in X-Plane Mobile, it's the button on the bottom left once you line up with the runway. Now all we need to do is just check that we're ready for takeoff. Now let me tell you something really counterintuitive. You see the light down here that says land? You turn that off. You turn that on for takeoff too. So that's weird. But other than that, we're basically ready to go. One more thing you might want to check is this is called the trim. This will basically set, by default how much you want your airplane to tilt up or down. So just make sure that that is lined up with the arrow. So let me just... And in X-Plane Mobile, you can just drag the slider to make sure it's aligned with that arrow. And now we're ready to go, basically. So just release the brakes down here and push the black lever, the throttle, all the way forward.
Just running on mobile,
hear the engine.
it'll start to tilt left. You have to use the rudder.
Now what you'll notice, once the airspeed indicator reaches 60, you want to pull up, or on mobile, tilt your device backward, but very carefully. So don't go like this. Just be calm about it. And yay, now we've taken off. We're in the air. And just like that, we're ready to do our flight. Now, because we're gonna keep this flight pretty short, so once you feel comfortable taking off and just flying straight a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and turn to the right. Don't worry about the exact terminology for flight patterns at this point, but right now we're going to enter what's called a right downwind. But don't worry about it, we'll explain all that later. So just turn right and head out towards the ocean. You'll notice as you keep climbing and as you keep getting faster, your plane will have a greater tendency to just keep lifting. So if I just let go of my controls, the plane just starts skyrocketing into the air. So you want to make sure you control that. And then we'll just head out over the ocean. Let's see how Calvin's doing right now. Oh, very good. Oh, you're already maintaining altitude? Oh, I think you turned right a little too much.
Oh, I see, yes.
Yeah, you turned right a little too much. You want to be... Sorry, this is a little loud. You want to be, going exactly away from the airport like this.
Okay.
Now, anyway, once we reach... So you'll see the altimeter here. We're about to reach 1,500 feet. So just like reading a clock, that's 1,000, and then we're at 1,400 feet right now. We'll go ahead and maintain altitude here. And to do that, you want to just make sure that this, which tells you how fast you're climbing or descending, is at 0. That tells you you're not climbing or you're not descending. So we'll just maintain altitude and try and maintain your speed. You might need to push your device down a little bit just to keep level flight because it'll have the tendency to climb.
It's probably worth mentioning that as you apply power for takeoff and you start climbing, your aircraft might have a natural tendency to veer to the left. That's completely normal, and it can be corrected with a little bit of rudder. So just keep that in mind. So if you apply power and start takeoff, and you're like, oh my god, why is it going left on its own? We'll talk about that later, but just know that it's normal. There's nothing wrong with your plane. That's just how it behaves.
I got scared when I first did it too.
Yeah. So once you feel confident enough about maintaining level flight, just turn right once again, and we're going to start the approach into the back to Honolulu. I can't even see the airport. I've flown so far out. Oh my goodness. So if you turn right, you'll eventually see land. That's a good sign. Don't go too much out into the ocean. Yeah. There we go. So you can see the airport directly to my right here. And we're going to attempt a landing on the same runway that we just took off on. So just just keep flying straight like this. And continue to maintain level flight.
Turn until I see land.
Yeah, turn until you see land. You'll get there eventually.
To 2,900 feet for some reason.
Yeah. Also, sorry, I just lost my altitude because I was paying attention to Calvin. So
okay,
this might require a little bit of patience because Cessnas are not the fastest things in the world, but use this as an opportunity to practice maintaining your altitude, making sure your vertical speed is 0. It's good to learn to keep stable flight like this. Should I increase X-plane sounds a little bit? Let's do that. And then, how much farther do you think we have to go? Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. You'll see this island right here. This island is actually another runway, but we're not landing on that one. Just keep an eye on it though. Okay, I think now is a good time to start beginning our right turn to start lining up with the runway. So just keep turning right, and then you'll start seeing the airport buildings up in front of me here, like this. These buildings are part of the airport itself. And what you want to start doing is bringing your throttle down a little bit so you can start losing some speed. And start just heading towards the airport like this.
And make sure not to open the door like I just did.
You opened the door in flight. Yeah. So just head for just point your plane towards the airport like this. And then you'll notice off to your right, you'll actually see the two runways here. You see the black strips with the white lines on it. We're gonna aim for the one on the left side.
How far should I decrease my throttle?
Enough so that you can slow down and descend at the same time. So basically to idle or 0 throttle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then you'll notice you'll start getting closer and closer to the runway. And once you do, just start centering yourself towards it. Now I know this is not easy. This is going to take a lot of practice. This is probably the hardest part of flight, and it only comes with experience. So if you can't line yourself up with the runway right now, do not feel discouraged. Just keep trying, repeat this pattern that we did, and try and get yourself to land on the center of this runway. Yeah.
Nikhil, flaps.
No, we're not.
Oh, we're not doing flaps.
Yeah, we'll not worry about that right now. We'll just
I think it's just
practice.
if you look at me for an example, I have no idea where I'm going, so I think if you just keep trying, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Right now, what you really want to focus on is just getting yourself aligned with the runway, and then actually touching down is a whole other story. So don't worry too much about that for now.
Nikhil, I'm assuming that to my right is the runway you're trying to land at.
Let me help you out, Calvin.
Is that where I'm aiming for?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. So you're currently headed over the runway that kind of sticks out into the ocean at PHNL. So you want to go towards there and to the right, Calvin.
So okay, I'm gonna hold
No,
my
not
plane
yet.
steady right now because I'm talking
I know.
about touchdown. So this is the penultimate part of the flight. So what you want to do, so I'm right now trying to maintain flight. What you want to do, as your plane is just above the ground, you want to slowly lower your plane down and bring your thrust to idle, and then you'll get a smooth touchdown. But don't worry about that until you learn how to align yourself with the runway. If you do manage to touch down, I know X-Plane Mobile doesn't have toe brakes, so just use the parking brake to slow down. Which is
Nice
the
landing,
thing on
Nikhil.
which is the thing on the bottom left. Thank you. Oh my
That
goodness.
was lovely.
Excellent landing. Oh, I thought it said 1 FPM for a second. But yeah, so this is basically how to do just a normal basic pattern, and you'll see I went all the way to the end of the runway because I was trying to explain how to touch down. But let's just go ahead and taxi out of here.
Okay, Calvin, you should probably start turning a little more right, looking for the runways. And I feel like you should be a little higher, so yeah, throttle
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I think I decreased my throttle a bit too early.
That's okay.
All right, while Calvin is trying to land, I'm going to go running to the gate, or not the gate, the ramp,
Right.
where we're going to be parking. But once you land, you can stop
Imagine if
wherever
they-
you want.
Imagine if they had gates for general aviation aircraft. Wouldn't that be
Imagine
special?
like those boarding bridges to go straight to this tiny little door. Imagine.
See, Calvin, you're lined up already.
I'm quite surprised.
I'd say just pick the right runway to land on for now, instead of the left one.
The one
What's-
I am on right now.
Yes,
All right.
because Nikhil landed on the left one because
Yeah.
that's what worked best for him. I mean, in real life, you would know which one to land at, and air traffic control would tell you and whatnot. But for now, if you can land on any runway, that's just more than enough.
All right. Tell me when he's close to touching down, so I can just stop
Right
the
now.
plane.
Okay.
Oh, he touched down. So yeah.
No.
one-
No. He's
yeah.
about to touch down.
Okay. Whenever you touch down, just stop wherever. You don't need to go taxiing to the ramp. I'm just doing that because I'm waiting.
Oh, add power, Calvin. Add power.
Add power.
Just a little. You're about to fall short of the runway.
Nice. So do I go past the weird?
Power.
Power.
You're,
Okay,
you're,
too late.
you're below the glide slope. Okay, good. Now just gently glide onto the runway. You'll be fine.
And once you're on the ground, to steer,
Nice.
again, use your rudder. But
Rudder.
just
Rudder.
yeah.
Calvin,
But
rudder.
don't do it too much because then you'll start like sliding around.
Drifting.
Okay. That was. Yeah, that's
Interesting.
about as well as you'd expect.
Yeah, that
You're
that
landing
happens.
to go the
for-
first couple of times. What Calvin did.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty
So-
not too bad.
Yeah.
I did much worse the first time I did it.
So, whenever you get a chance to, just find a place to stop. We're not worried about taxiing to ramps right now. Just you can stop on the runway if you want. There's no other airplanes waiting for you to leave.
Yeah. I'm done.
All right, so he stopped, and I'm also stopped, and you'll see I set my parking brake already with the lever. Now we just have to shut down the plane.
So to turn off your engine, all you have to do is pull out your mixture,
Oh, okay.
and then you turn
Wow.
off your magnetos. You just reverse them. Because
Yeah.
turning off the magnetos first will leave fuel in the engines,
I see.
That would make sense.
which is bad because the next person that touches the prop will just fire right back up, and they might cut off their hands.
And then
Yeah,
you can
kids,
just-
don't touch the props. If you're ever at an airport, stay away from the props.
And then just turn everything off. We don't really want to give you the full detailed shutdown checklist because that's
Just turn off all the red knobs.
just turn everything off. Just this goes off.
Avionics,
this turns
master.
off. Yeah, just
Boom,
just
you're
turn
done.
it off. And
Wait,
then open the
is,
door and
is
run
there
off the
is
plane.
there an off selection on the fuel selector switch?
No, you just
No.
put it to either
Okay,
left or right.
either. Okay.
And now
Oh,
you're
that's in
ready.
center.
Pull this
Nikhil.
out. It does
And then-
this, which is not
Doesn't really
supposed to
matter.
happen.
Okay.
You walk
Oh,
out of
yeah.
the plane and feel happy you just flew a plane.
If only you could do it in mobile, but
Feeling of
And now
pride and
just-
satisfaction.
Run out of the plane and be satisfied that you sort of just did a flight.
good
Congratulations,
job, guys.
You made it.
Good job to me. Pat on the back doesn't
Yeah,
hurt.
good job to Calvin for successfully kind of flying his airplane.
Yes,
All
you
right.
did well, Calvin.
I feel accomplished.
Well, that's it. That wraps up our recap for today. That's the main idea of sort of the procedure that you'd go through when flying this Cessna 172. Just for your own practice, you can keep referring to this video if you ever need to get clarified on why you're doing something. But yeah, that's just the basic idea of how this all works. So I hope this made a little bit more sense to you. I hope we didn't pack too much in this one. And take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
I was about to say you too. But
What?
yeah, have a great weekend, everybody.
Okay, whatever. Let's turn this on.
Is there a way to make yourself taller?